Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. We have finally, after 1 year and 9 months, finally gotten something out of Tailworlds, and they have posted this brand new teaser image with the quotation marks breaking the seal on Thursday. I guess on Thursday, we're going to be finding out what is next for Bannerlord for the Mount & Blade series, because yeah, I don't think they would do something like this if it was just simply a patch. And of course, I'll be covering all this information as it drops, whether it is just patch 1.3, which I highly hope it isn't, whether it's a new DLC, standalone expansion, or maybe even Mount & Blade 3, who knows, but we'll be finding out on Thursday. So make sure, if you guys haven't already, to drop a like and a comment down below. Let me know what you think that this teaser image could possibly mean. And of course, if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that way you'll always get notified whenever this stuff does get announced. And as I said, I'll be covering it immediately on the channel. So definitely make sure you subscribe so you're one of the first people to know. But as I said, I think this teaser image, which will be on your screen right now, it kind of suggests one of three things. It's patch 1.3 that they've been saying that is still in the works for the past 2 years almost. It's a brand new DLC / standalone game, much like Sword and Musket, Brett Walder, etc. Or it is just simply the next installment in the Mount & Blade series, and they're kind of been like, yeah, we're done with Bannerlord, we're going to move on to Mount & Blade 3. And I think the middle option is probably the most likely, but let's talk through the other ones and the reasons why it could possibly be that. So yeah, patch 1.3, as I said, that has been a patch that they've been talking about for a long time, honestly, the past like year and a half pretty much. They've been saying, yeah, it's in the works, it's coming, but I just don't think they would do this. I don't know, I just don't think they would do this with a patch, you know. I feel like even if it is like a huge patch that kind of revamps diplomacy, adds in like kingdom management and stuff like that, I don't know if that is enough to like class it as a you know, just to be like, oh yeah, here's a cool teaser image and we're going to be counting down, possibly posting more images in the next 4 days until it hits Thursday and whatever this is gets announced. It just doesn't feel like that's like what you do with a patch, you know. In the previous stuff, they've done like announcement videos of like, hey, here's what's coming in patch 1.3. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a patch is big enough to warrant something like this. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, maybe I'm hoping. But once again, we got to remember that it has been 1 year and 9 months since the last update for Bannerlord. And because of that, I feel like they've had all that time to hopefully create whatever they're creating and is going to be announced on Thursday, and I feel like patch 1.3 just isn't enough for something like this. However, if we were to entertain that idea, a few people have suggested that maybe this is like a big diplomacy update for the game, with it being like a scroll with a seal on it. Someone also said as well, which I guess I could say towards the end of the video, someone also said that it was Bannerlord 3 confirmed or Mount & Blade 3 because there's 3 candles in the image. I mean, I felt like that would be funny. And again, I have been enclosing in here, seeing what the numbers mean, Mason, trying to figure stuff out, and there's not too much there, but again, there's a few things that we'll talk about in a second. So next is, I think, the most likely of the deductions from this. I think it's most likely going to be a DLC announcement or a standalone expansion announcement, much like Brett Walder, much like Sword and Musket, etc. So again, I think that's the most likely thing to do, because again, you're hyping the game up, you're posting teaser stuff, you're giving a countdown to when it gets announced. That's something you do with a new game or a DLC. It's not something you do with a patch. So I feel like it's most likely going to be like this, and I feel like Bannerlord needs more stuff added to it, so that's why I'm hoping it's more of a DLC / standalone expansion. Also, if we go back to what Tailworlds have done in the past with stuff like Warband many years ago, they would generally go on hiatus for a large period of time and then bang out with a DLC saying, hey, look, what we, or a standalone expansion, and do this. You know, it's kind of very much their practice, which again leans me more into that standalone expansion / DLC. And then it kind of leads us on to another thing, is how are they going to approach it? I feel like very old school Tailworlds would do a standalone expansion, you know, a completely new like medieval Europe or something, or a completely different kind of genre of something very drastically different from Bannerlord like they've done in the past, adding in cool new features and hopefully revamp to diplomacy and kingdom management, which the game is solely lacking. But on the other hand, I feel like much more modern gaming really loves to expand upon the pre-existing content. You know, I feel like that's kind of like a, not an outdated, but you don't don't see it as much with them standalone expansions. You're much more likely to see a big map expansion, for example. And I'll put it on your screen right now. At the launch of Bannerlord back in early access many years ago, we did have this match which was found in the files when someone was scrolling through the files. They actually found this huge map of Calradia and obviously the pre-existing lands around it. And as you guys can see, Calradia is a very small part of that map. There is so much around it. This was removed as well quite quickly, and obviously it's been 5 years or whatever since that moment, so it's just like, this could be something scrapped, it definitely does not mean anything, but it's a good idea of what the vision of the game possibly was at some point, and maybe we'll be seeing a big expansion. Like, imagine that we expand all the way out to the left continent. We get all the islands in between Calradia and a huge new continent to explore with new cultures, with naval travel, of course. If you're going between two continents, it would make sense that you'd have naval travel and naval battles. Something like that would be really, really amazing, coming in with new features. And maybe that could come alongside patch 1.3. Maybe the reason why patch 1.3 has taken so long is because it's integrating in with this massive map expansion to make the base game still function alongside it with some cool free updates and stuff and other things. There's plenty of things it could be, and I'm really hoping, honestly, I'm torn. I wouldn't personally mind either or. If it was a standalone expansion, hell yeah, let's go. But also, if it is just a big expansion to the Calradia map, a new continent, new cultures, naval travel, kingdom management, diplomacy, stuff people have been asking for so long, that would be really, really dope as well. Taking a look at the image, we haven't really talked about the image at all, and I've tried to look in here. As I said, we got 3 candles. Don't really think that means too much. We have a scroll. Again, I don't know if we're just reading too much into this stuff, but it's a teaser trailer. It's a teaser image, sorry. They are going to be kind of laying some fine details in here, I'm sure. And I think the biggest thing to go off of is going to be that sigil right there, whatever's on that seal. And I've tried to look at it, and it kind of looks like very Viking-esque, right? Like, it looks like kind of very much like a Saxon Viking style sigil. I've seen some people try and reverse Google search for sigil and stuff to try and find stuff, and it comes up with some of like the Juntai sigils from Total War Rome and Britannia, I think, as well. So again, maybe that does lead to something. If you guys have any idea what this kind of resembles, please let me know in the comments. I'm very, very interested to get any bit of information we can get. Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest thing we've got to go off of. Some other people I saw as well in the Bannerlord modding community were saying that maybe it's like an eagle and a snake, so maybe it's something like Roman-esque, or yeah, I don't know. And again, this is what I think. It doesn't really help us either way, because regardless of whether this is like Viking inspired or Roman or Dark Age or whatever, it doesn't mean that we're getting a standalone or a DLC. It could mean that, the cultures that we're going to be experiencing on the Calradia expanded map is going to be a Viking style DLC with naval travel, etc. Or maybe it's like an Imperial Roman style, and it's more like, I don't know. It's just something to take a look at. But yeah, I don't think we've really got too much to go on from this image. As I said, that sigil is probably our biggest bit of information. Maybe it does hint at like a diplomacy rework or something. But yeah, overall, I think it's pretty interesting. And if you guys have any ideas, as I said, please let me know in the comments. On top of that, I think the final possible thing that we could possibly be getting is just honestly Mount and Blade 3. Again, maybe that is something that is in the works, and they've just kind of decided to fully move off from Bannerlord, and just like, we did what we could, and the game is too much of a mess now to go back to it. I really hope that's not the case. I think Bannerlord has so many legs. It still gets 30,000 plus people playing, and I'm hoping with this DLC and everything else that we do get better modding support as well, just like fully access to the modding tools to go ham, because again, modders are still very restricted in a bunch of stuff that they can do. I think my dream, my optimism of this is that it's going to be a big DLC / standalone expansion with a big patch 1.3 coming alongside it, and that's the reason why 1.3 has taken so long, because it's had to implement stuff to coincide with the DLC. I think that's probably my biggest suggestion and my biggest hope of it. Now, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think that this image could possibly mean. Do you guys think it's just honestly going to be like disappointing? Here's patch 1.3. See you guys later. Are you expecting something bigger? Do you have any other like theories that you guys have seen out there? Do let me know down below. And yeah, I will be, as I said, covering any new information. If we get any more teaser stuff from their Twitter or their X, I will be covering that, posting it on my own community page, probably making a video of it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. And yeah, let's see what Thursday has to offer.